I'm Scott Malevsky, and this is Interviews with Me.
Oh, Maine, your rivers, your back roads claim me.
This week, Chuck Hayes.
Treat everybody with respect. You know, everybody has something to offer. And, you know, we find here that you don't know what is weighing on people in their own personal lives.
Because everyone has a story.
Welcome home to Maine.
My next guest was not born in Maine, but he has spent a good chunk of his adult life here. He grew up in West Newton, Mass., attending Mass Maritime Academy, being employed at General Dynamics as a nuclear test engineer. That's a pretty cool job.
It was wild.
In Groton, Connecticut. Later, after answering an ad in the paper to be a healthcare consultant based out of Maine, he moved here with his family, and 24 years later, he is still here. With a master's degree from Thomas College in Waterville, he was instrumental in moving the idea of regional health forward for Central Maine, resulting in the Alphon Center for Cancer Care in the MaineGeneral campus in Augusta. Please welcome Chuck Hayes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. And no relation to any sports figures named Chuck Hayes. Right?
No relation. I wish.
So you grew up in West Newton, Mass. Is there a big distinction between West Newton and Newton?
Newton's a very weird town. There are about 17 different sections of Newton. So I actually...
This is true. Newton Highland, Newton Wellesley. Yeah.
I grew up in West Newton, but actually was right on the Auburndale border and spent most of my time in Auburndale. So,
Yeah, I get that a lot. My sister works up in Millinocket, and there's Millinocket and there's East Millinocket.
Yeah.
And there's,
don't
mix the two.
Don't get them confused. Yeah.
Were you born in West Newton? I mean, and then just grew up there?
Well, I was born in Boston.
Okay.
Yeah, my parents originally lived in Scituate. When I was 3 years old, they moved to West Newton. So,
Okay. Are your parents still alive?
my mother's still alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's your best memory about your mother?
Oh boy, my mother was an incredible woman. I mean, she was a workaholic. She held a full-time job as well as, you know, back then taking care of all the house and the kids and the meals and everything. So she was an incredible person.
What about your dad?
Well, my dad was actually my best friend, so he was just a character. Loved to have fun. He, you know, worked a lot as well, but he was the best man at my wedding. He was truly my best friend. Yeah.
Now, what about your siblings? Do you have any siblings?
I do. I have two sisters, so they both currently still live in Massachusetts.
They do?
Yeah.
Not too far from where you grew up, or?
No, well, you can't afford anything in Newton these days.
True.
So they're all out on the 495 belt in Milford.
Now, are you the oldest or middle?
I'm the youngest.
You're the youngest?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So they paved the way for me, which was
Did you
nice.
get along with your siblings growing up? I guess
I did most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I can't lie and say all the time. Most of the time I did.
Did you have any favorite relatives?
I did. I had it mostly my father's side, my aunts and uncles. We did a lot together. You know, so we hung out. I had two uncles and an aunt that we spent a lot of time with.
What was your childhood like? I mean, describe a day growing up in West Newton.
Well, really, it was going to school or spending time outside. You know, those are the two things. You know, my mother used to say, "Be back before the street lights go on." You know, and that's what you did. And in the summer, you know, every year we went tenting and somewhere, and the whole family camping, and you know, we had a blast there. But during the regular summer, both my parents worked, so we went down to the local park. You know, that was run by the rec department. My father's best friend ran the park, and so it was basically. I think for them it was kind of a babysitting service. It didn't cost anything, and for us it was pick up games of you name it, basketball, baseball, you know, sports, and you know, hung out with 10 or 15 other kids that went down to the park every day as well. So,
now, how often did you get to say the South Shore or the North Shore?
Yeah, it's funny, you know, when you're in Massachusetts, you either go one direction or the other.
Yeah,
you know, we used to go, I would say, more toward Cape Cod before it got too crazy, and so we even camped when we used to camp. Most of the time we'd camp under the Bourne Bridge. There was a campground right there, and that was the place that we went. But
nice.
Occasionally we went not to the North Shore of Massachusetts, but we'd go camping in New Hampshire or Maine or some of those areas as well.
Did you have a best friend growing up other than your dad?
Yes. Yeah, I had a couple of best friends that, you know, one I've known since kindergarten and one I've known since sixth grade, and we still keep in touch, and they love coming to Maine and going fishing and coming to the house. So,
were you a good student?
You know, it was interesting. I was a B student. Didn't like school, you know, so it was really
I don't know too many kids that like school.
I had that balance of getting good enough grades to keep your parents off your back and I think I really didn't learn how to study until I got into college.
Did you have any heroes growing up?
Yeah, it's funny. I guess when I was really young, it was more like Superman and the superheroes and things like that. But I was obviously a big New England sports fan, so I loved a lot of the sports players or the Larry Birds of the world when I was growing up.
So you were all Celtics and all?
I was. I'm a
the whole nine
purebred. Anything New England, I'm a fan of.
What's the worst thing you did growing up?
I'd say the thing that probably sticks closest in my mind one time, and I think it was like 5th grade, I tripped a kid and he ended up with like 10 stitches in the head.
Ooh.
I'll never forget that. That was pretty bad.
Do you have a favorite family tradition that you've passed down over the years that you remember?
Yeah, I would say ours is probably going camping every year.
Yeah.
Growing up, we always went tenting, and I started my kids early. We go to Jackman every year. I gave up tenting like 2 years ago because my wife talked me into going to the same campground, but they have cabins now. So let's just try the cabin once. And I'm like, no, you got to go tenting. Just try it 1 year. And I tried it 1 year, and I'm like, yeah, that was pretty good. Forget the 3 hours of setting up camp.
No break down, set up.
Yeah, no climbing trees to get lines up.
We graduated to a pop-up a few years ago.
Oh, did you?
I know. We like the pop-up.
I always said to my wife, when I retire, I'd love to just go see the U.S.
Oh, yeah. You graduated high school. How did you decide to become a nuclear test engineer?
Yeah, this is a weird story, but actually, back in my day, it wasn't basically you went to the guidance counselor when you were getting close to applying for colleges.
And they told you what you were.
They're like, you're really good in math. You need to be an engineer. And you said, okay. And I'll never forget, as I said, we used to camp under the Bourne Bridge, so I had seen the Maritime Academy right there on the Cape Cod Canal. So I said, well, I'll be a marine engineer. And I had no idea what a marine engineer was, but I liked the school. I thought the uniforms were cool, and so I said to my father, I'm going to apply to Mass Maritime Academy. So he said, okay, well, where else are we applying to? I'm like, nope, just want to go there. That's it. He's like, you got to apply to more schools. I'm like, no, I'm going to go there. I'm going to go to Maritime Academy. It's like, well, what if you don't get in?
No fallback.
Yeah. Because they only accepted, 200 people, so
wow.
the classes were fairly small.
Well, Massachusetts is a big state. So.
Yeah, he was nervous, too. He was very nervous. Luckily, I got in. So it was really marine engineering. It was about engineering on ships.
Yeah.
I got to say it was a great education, mainly because it taught you everything, mechanical, electrical. You had to do it all because you were on the ship.
They gave you the whole gamut of... Yeah. These days it's so specialized.
It is. Everything is specialized.
Everything's siloed into different things.
Exactly.
What was the best lesson you learned from your parents growing up?
We're always a tight-knit family, and I just think family values are probably the best thing I learned. I joke with people because I say, we always talk about all the kids leaving the state, and I kid with people. I say I brainwashed both my kids to stay here, But I think it's just, some of our best times just spending time with family, and I think the family values is what my folks always taught me.
So what do you do in your spare time? Do you have any spare time?
Yeah.
You're a busy guy. You're always around.
But I do. So I love to be outdoors. I love to fish. I love to hunt. I love to be in the woods, do, believe it or not, yard work.
Get you out of the office.
Yeah, exactly. So
where's your favorite fishing spot?
It's actually Cobbossee Stream. So I live right across from the street from Cobbossee Lake.
Not many people will tell you their favorite fishing spot.
Yeah, it's a big stream. I didn't tell you where on the stream.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't. You must read a lot for your job. Has reading become pleasure or work?
Oh, it's all work.
A little both. It's all work.
It's all work.
You don't sit down and just read a book of fiction or something like that.
I can't even remember the last book I read.
Now, what about Audible? I know a lot of people who have...
Yeah, I haven't done that. I thought about it. I thought about it because obviously I'm in the car a lot and moving around. But even when I read at home, I'm reading healthcare magazines,
work journals,
stuff like that. Yes.
Now, where is home? Is that here in the area?
Manchester, Maine.
Manchester. Okay. Yeah. Now, what about music? Do you listen to a lot of music?
Well, I listen to it, but I've never been a big music fan, meaning could recite even the names of songs. Growing up, it was all rock and roll, but my favorite music now is country. I listen to country all the time. But,
Yep.
you know, I don't really have a favorite artist or song or anything, and I'm so bad that way.
You know what music you like, and that's
Yeah.
all. That's all
Yeah.
that matters.
We have the family dynamic. So my daughter and I like country, and my son and my wife like rock and roll. So it's always a fight over
You
the
gotta get
radio in the
balance.
car. Yeah.
How old are your kids?
I have one that's 20. My daughter's 25. My son's 27.
And they both still here in Maine?
They are. My daughter lives next door to me, and my son lives probably 2 miles away. Yeah.
You have the Hayes compound.
Yeah, not quite, but we're working on it. Yeah.
So how do you make the jump? You went to school, Mass Maritime. You became a nuclear test engineer. I've heard in another interview you talked about it was time to get a job with less travel. Your daughter was young. You answered the ad in a paper for healthcare. How did you make that jump from engineer to healthcare? How did that come about?
It's interesting. As you said, you know, I wanted to get out. I went from Mass Maritime, which was marine engineering, and then General Dynamics put me back to school for nuclear. Then I became a nuclear test engineer, and then I moved to consulting for nuclear power plants.
Yep.
And that's when I did a lot of the traveling. And I said to my wife one time, I said, you know, I'm going to get into healthcare. I said, that just seems like a great job to be in, to help people. And she kind of chuckled and said, you know, how are you going to get into healthcare? I said, no, I'm going to get into healthcare. So what I did was my first job was consulting in healthcare on the engineering side. One of my first consulting roles was taking on the director of engineering for, at the time, Mid-Maine Medical Center, which is now part of us, so up in Waterville. So I started there as the director of engineering and put me on as their safety officer. And then when the merger happened, a position opened up for VP of operations. Mm-hmm. And so then I moved to become employed with MaineGeneral.
And you just kind of moved up through the ranks from there?
Yeah.
Been kind of a wild ride, hasn't
Yeah,
it?
it is. It's not really what I expected, but I'm glad to be here. Healthcare is just a great field to be in.
Where did you imagine yourself when you were younger? Just working on a boat somewhere?
It's funny, you know, as you can imagine, as I picked my school, I was just like, hey, I'm along for the ride. When you're 17 years old, going to college, you're like, hey, we're just going to go along for the ride. So, no, I thought it'd be more in the technical fields, more in the engineering. Most of my wife's family was in healthcare. Some of my family was in healthcare, and it just seemed like just a great job and, you know, helping people in the community. So a little different than, you know, sitting down and looking at mechanical drawings and electrical drawings.
So is that better or worse than looking at mechanical drawings?
Yeah, I like it a lot more.
You do?
I like it a lot
Nice.
more, yeah.
Moving into more, you know, because like I said, your career has been covered quite a bit. Moving into more your current life, what would you say, do you have like a most embarrassing moment?
Oh, boy. I'm sure there were plenty of them. I probably wiped them out of my mind so I wouldn't think of them. But, God, I just can't think of one off the top of my head.
People ask me, I always say, and I've done it at least twice, and I should have known better after the first time, but I came up, met somebody, I'm like, oh, what do you do? Yeah, no, that's...
Yeah.
And you'd think I'd learn after the first
I know,
one. No, I didn't.
yeah.
What brings you joy? You know, you get away from the office and you want to be re-inspired and rejoice. What brings you joy?
I think the first thing is spending time with my family, with my wife and the kids, and being together. And
No grandkids yet.
No grandkids yet. No. My daughter's getting married in October, so we're pretty excited
very
about
nice.
that too. So, no, just spending time. I also like to be outdoors, you know, out of the house and outside, and, you know, fishing or hunting or any of that. I like that. But
Snowshoeing or anything like that.
yeah, I do go. I don't ski, but I do snowshoe. But I'll tell you, most of the time I'm doing that with my family too. So
Yeah.
I kind of get them both together.
That's great. Hey, if they enjoy doing outdoor stuff and
No,
camping,
they do,
and
yeah.
do any ice fishing?
I do. Yeah. I've been 2 or 3 times this year so far.
Oh.
So we probably had, I don't know, 10 people out on the ice this weekend. It was
Nice.
a blast. I felt bad because we kind of had the whole cove covered, and it was like, okay, nobody can ice fish in here because we got flags everywhere, you know, traps everywhere. So
Who inspires you? Are there people not just in your life that inspire? Well, who inspires you in your life? People that you know.
I'd say my wife probably inspires me the most. You know, she could have a positive attitude talking to the devil. I mean, she's just always, you know, glasses half full type of person. She's amazing. She's always got
Nice.
a great attitude about everything, and it can always be fixed, and it's always, you know, we'll work it out. And she's amazing. So
Outside of your local circle of influence, who inspires you?
yeah, I would say, you know, I look around. I feel very fortunate to be part of this community, and I'd say, I look around to the people who are constantly giving back. You know, the Norm Melvin.
That was the first name that came to my mind. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and Peter Prescott's, the Charlie Schumans. You know, I just look at those individuals and all they do to make this a better community, and they don't have to, right? They can do whatever they want and go wherever they want, yet they all just constantly reinvest in this community and make it a better place. And so people like that, I'm just inspired by.
Who do you go to for advice?
You know, to me, it really depends on the subjects, you know, so I've got a great team here at MaineGeneral. We work pretty well as a team, and if I'm stuck on something, I can bring it to them. So I really lean on, I'd say, the senior leadership team here, but then there's always my wife, Maria, you know, who can give me good advice about non-work related things.
Yeah.
So.
How long you been married?
33 years.
33 years.
Yeah.
Where did you meet?
Well, she was a friend of my sister's friend. So she came over to the house one time, and we were out playing basketball in the street. That's when we first met, and came back in the house, and I said to my sister, hey, call her up and ask her if she wants to go out.
So it wasn't like, you know, moonbeam from heaven.
No, it wasn't.
Doves release.
No. It wasn't like that at all, yeah.
So what charities or philanthropic organizations are important to you that you give back
I
to?
have a lot. I mean, besides MaineGeneral, the United Way, I think is an incredible organization. Rob Gordon and Courtney Yeager do an unbelievable job there. The Y, you know, the Alphon Youth Center. Look at all those groups that do so much for the kids of our community. So, and the one great thing about the United Way is it helps so many organizations. So that's, you know, really nice that you can kind of spread it around to so many nonprofits that really help the community out.
You were saying you listen to a little bit of country.
I do.
What country song best describes you?
Oh, God. You would ask me a song question. I'm not even going to remember any of them. I'm terrible with music.
No, not even going to go there, huh?
No.
What are the most important lessons that you've learned in life? I'm kind of transitioning into more kind of philosophical questions.
For me, it's really treating everybody with respect. You know, everybody has something to offer. And, you know, we find here that in a lot of instances, you don't know what is weighing on people in their own personal lives and things like that. And I think, you know, you really got to give everybody a chance. And I think there's people have a lot to offer. And I also think I always tell people I've visited a lot of different hospitals and seen a lot of different people. I have relatives who work at other hospitals in administration, and you know, we have some of the best people in Maine. I mean, we're so fortunate to have the workforce that we have that care about their jobs and do unbelievable work. So I think that's really, to me, the thing.
What lessons in life have you learned from the relationships that you've had?
I think people think, well, certainly personal relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you know, they take work. People think it's magical, you know, just walk up, you fall in love, which you usually do, and then from there on, it takes work to build a great relationship.
Yep.
A lot of give and take, and it's got to be fair, and I'd say communication is key.
Yep.
A good friend of my wife and mine that sat us down before we got married, so 33 years ago, and he said, just do me one favor. He says, never go to bed mad and never leave the house mad. He says, and your marriage will be fine. And they're really, you know, good words to live by, you know. But I think communication is really the key.
Yeah.
Now, how long have you been married?
Oh, geez, you're going to start talking to me.
Oh, that's not supposed to happen.
We don't usually turn it around like this.
I can't help it.
I have been married. It'll be 22 years this June. What do you feel your purpose is in life?
I think for me, it's really just to help people. I tell people I can have be having the worst day at work, and I can walk out to the floor and just see all the incredible work that the staff does in helping people, and you just feel good about what you do. Re-energizes you to go back to work. It's one of the things why, myself and my senior management team, we round on all the different locations we have. We go talk to patients. We ask them what we can do to improve and how the care is, things like that. It's the best part of the week.
Yeah.
You know, it really is. And it's really that type of helping people that really makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. Have you ever had a time like that where a moment you've gone to help somebody and something has surprised you like that?
Yeah, I think it's always tough. You know, I've had friends in the organization that or end-of-life care, and there's just nothing you can do.
Right.
Like I say, it's the most gut-wrenching thing that can happen to you, because, we're all wired to help people and get them healthy and fix them, and I'm non-clinical, so I can't do anything, but
Right.
talk to people and ask questions, and so it's really frustrating, though, when you can't do anything. That's probably the toughest part of the job.
Over your career, what's been one of your most challenging situations that you've had to deal with? I mean, other than the changing face of healthcare.
Yeah, no. Well, that was the first thing that popped into my mind, believe it or not, is the constant change. But I think the one challenging thing is a nonprofit organization. You're constantly, you have to basically go out to bid on everything and, make sure you're getting the right price as a nonprofit. And sometimes your friends don't get that bid. So that's always challenging, but you can't really waver from that either.
I would think there's a certain amount of integrity with your job, too, that you have to be very careful of as well.
It is. I mean, I'm the type of person that, I don't take a pencil from anybody. I don't do any of that. Of course, I grew up in General Dynamics, so it was like, I think it was 3 weeks in when they had hit the news of a $5,000 toilet or something like that, and somebody was getting something on the side, and they just said, okay, nothing, and so I was trained that way. And I think you got to be consistent.
What are you proudest of in your life?
You're sitting in it. I think really, the regionalization of, first cancer care at the Harold Alphonse Center for Cancer Care, and then hospital here at the Alphonse Center for Health, their Center for Health. So to me, we were just struggling. We were struggling trying to recruit physicians to the area because we were splitting these little hospitals.
Right.
When I started, there were 4 different hospitals. So, and ever since coming to here, you believe in that this is going to make a difference, and then when it actually does, you're like, phew, it made a huge difference for being able to recruit physicians, keep people from having to travel for health care, and build a state-of-the-art facility here for the community members. Truly, this is what I'm most proud of, and it's helped us. We've designed it around quality and patient satisfaction, and we've hit those marks in all cases. So I'm really proud of the team here and the people here and all that they've accomplished.
And here you are 10 years later, and you have the Alphonse Center for Care, which is, gotten awards, and it's a mecca for people to come to.
Yeah,
so,
we're very fortunate.
What do you hope people will say about you at your funeral?
Oh, boy. They cared about the community and really cared about the people of Maine and people of the region. I think that's probably, the nicest thing that anybody could say about you.
Yep.
Really. Did the right thing and took care of the community.
We really got through a lot of questions. I'm pretty impressed.
I'm an engineer, so I go boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Now you can check them off.
Not a lot of elaboration,
But I do have a list of kind of rapid fire questions that I do at the end of the interview.
Sure.
I'll ask them off and we'll go from there. What is your favorite word?
Teamwork.
What is your least favorite word?
Can't.
I hear that a lot.
Do you? Yeah.
I do. What sound do you love?
I love the sound of the water, the stream, the water.
What sound do you hate?
Fingernails on a chalkboard.
Which you don't get too often.
No.
Anymore. What is your favorite curse word? We'll bleep it out.
Probably shit, but probably use it more than anything.
What profession other than yours would you like to attempt? Although you've had a couple different professions here.
Yeah, I'm going to go. Yeah, I'm not changing professions anymore. I'd love to be a Maine guide.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That's a lot of training and certification that goes through that.
Yeah, but just being outside, and I'm sure it's a lot harder than probably people think. But
Well, the compass portion. I had a friend who went through it, and he said the compass portion just about killed him.
Yeah,
having to learn and do all that. Oh my gosh! Speaking of which, have you climbed Katahdin?
I have.
You have. I have not. I'm hoping to do it sometime in the next couple of years.
Yeah, I was probably 22 when I climbed Katahdin.
Wow.
Yeah,
good for you.
It was one of the things that I had come to Maine a couple of times, and I used to camp with friends at Katahdin.
Nice.
And so when we were coming to Maine, I was so excited because I just loved Maine. My wife grew up two-family driveway, right, in Waltham, Massachusetts.
Yep.
So I can just remember driving up there, and she's like, there's a lot of trees. And then it was like, where are the street lights, you know? But you couldn't drag her out of Maine now.
Yep.
You know, she just loves the people, and, you know, it's home now. But it was funny, that first trip up here.
That's great. It's what I love about Millinocket is you get past Millinocket and there's like no cell phone reception.
Right.
It's fantastic. when you work in computers, it's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Well, that's what I used to love about Jackman camping.
Yeah.
Now they get 2 bars at Jackman, so that's kind of gone.
That's
now.
out the window.
Yeah.
What profession would you not like to do?
Yeah, I don't think I'd want to be one of those guys on the road that holds the stop-go sign.
Those are dangerous jobs.
Yeah.
Huh?
It would drive me nuts. I'd be bored out of my mind.
And if heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say when you arrive?
Welcome. Not, oh, you're going the wrong way.
We saved you a seat.
Yeah. You take the elevator down.
Well, Mr. Hayes, thank you very much.
Thanks,
I've had
Scott.
a good time getting to know you, and I hope you had fun too.
Well, thanks. I enjoyed it.
All right, thank you. We don't have sponsors. We promote local charities. This week's episode features the United Way of Kennebec Valley. Since 1955, their mission has been to serve the community by identifying human care needs, raising and allocating funds to meet those needs, and encouraging volunteers to participate in community service. The money raised goes to local organizations such as the Augusta Food Bank, Meals on Wheels, MaineGeneral's Hospice Support Program, Crisis and Counseling Centers, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Mid-Maine, and many more. To donate or to get involved, visit uwkv.org. That's uwkv.org.
Welcome home to Maine.
This podcast was created and edited by Scott Malevsky. Thanks to our guest this week, and a special thanks to Ellis Paul for the use of his song, Welcome Home to Maine. You can find his CDs, music, and touring schedule at ellispaul.com. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Google Play, and iTunes. For more content and bios, visit www.interviewswithme.com. Thanks for listening, and we hope you join us next time.